Give everybody one more minute. How about that? Heidi is our speaker here.
Dr. Thomas, are you here?
Thomas, are you here? I want to make sure she's here as well before we get going.
And save some dough. Yeah, because it's my era special ticket pricing. This is the nicest thing anyone's ever done for me.
Um, I know she'll be here. We just had a conversation about it just like half an hour ago.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and get started then. And we've got a few other things to cover before she speaks. She's sort of at the end of the meeting anyway. So, welcome everybody to our May meeting. Wanted to give everybody a few pieces of information before we hear from Dr. Thomas. So, we'll go ahead and get started. Why am I not able to move the slides, guys?
Dr. Thomas is trying to get on. She might have to get on through her phone, but she's trying.
All of a sudden, oh, there we go. All right, there we go. Now I can move the slides. That was being weird. So here's our agenda for the evening. Just a couple of things before Dr. Thomas gets on. Hopefully we can get her in. A few things to talk about. So we'll get started. First and foremost, we had a great teacher and staff appreciation week just last week, right? Am I losing track of time? I don't even know. But May 4th through the 8th, great teacher and staff appreciation week. Some pictures from that great event. We had some snack attacks. We had a great lunch. And I believe I saw Jenny Hornback it on. Are you here, Jenny?
Yes, I am.
All right. She's going to talk a little bit more about it, and I'll let her take the floor.
Okay, I can just talk briefly. We did. We had a great week. We exceeded our expectations for our gift card fundraising drive, and so we were able to buy. I think the staff total was
This
close
is
to
the
103. I
Arlington
think it
Tech
was.
meeting.
And so we were able to buy gift cards for all of the staff in the building that interacts with Arlington Tech students. We also hosted a lunch. You can see right there from Pitanza. Amber organized that, and it looked amazing and it smelled amazing. So I'm guessing it tasted amazing as well. We had a variety of options, including gluten-free and vegetarian options for the staff. We also hosted a snack bar. You can see pictures. The first two pictures in that on that slide are from the snack bar, and we had probably 1,000 snacks to share with the teachers. And then we also had coffee and sodas and sparkling waters and teas and those kinds of things. And I think that was a big success. When I went back that afternoon to clean it up, I think there was like 10 snacks left. So I think that was very popular. We also gave out the staff appreciation bags that we made at last month's ATAC meeting. And I think that was well received. That was kind of a fun surprise for the staff. And then lastly, we wrapped it up by providing coffee on Friday for a dessert bar that was hosted by another parent group. And so we provided the coffee for that event as well. So I think overall, hopefully, oh, and we also did the thank you bar where we had created postcards that students could fill out to their staff member of choice. And apparently that was very popular. I think I delivered over 200 of those, and I think they were through them by Thursday. So I think that was a popular item and would be great to do again next year. So I think overall, I think it was a big success, and hopefully they all felt very well appreciated because we certainly do appreciate them.
May I say a huge thank you? It was, oh my gosh, over the top. The staff felt thoroughly spoiled and loved and appreciated. I mean, our ATAC parents are truly amazing. Um, we heard some jealous remarks from other schools that they didn't quite get the royal treatment that our teachers did. So, way to go, ATAC. Thank you so much for spoiling our teachers. They absolutely just loved it, and we're just so grateful to our parents. So thank you so much.
Big shout out to all the parents who donated because we had so many amazing donations coming in to help cover all of those expenses. So shout out to all the parents.
Yeah, and also a shout out to all the volunteers that helped out for the week too. We really appreciated that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Jenny, I don't know if you wanted to speak really quickly. I'm going to talk a little bit later about volunteers, but teacher appreciation uh, lead is one of the volunteer roles that's coming up. Jenny's student is a senior, so she can't be with us next year to do this again, even though it would be, be great if she could. She did such a fabulous job. Can you talk a little bit about what goes into this every year and what goes into this role and your committee and how this all works?
Absolutely. It's a wonderful volunteer opportunity. There's certain events throughout the year, but there's a cap. There's a minimum number of very small events. We hosted a counseling breakfast in the fall or earlier this year, I guess. And then there are several other special events like Administrators Day. And so we do some small events throughout the year for that. And then we do our big week of appreciation. And we had a great group of parents that helped volunteer this year. And so it's a wonderful opportunity to volunteer either to be the chair of that group or also just to volunteer to help out throughout the year. It doesn't require a lot of daytime volunteer work, which is great. You just, the week of Teacher Appreciation Week, there's a few times you need to be in the building during the day, but you can have a group of volunteers and there's always some parents that have daytime availability. So it would definitely be great to find a couple people that would be interested in it. And I'm happy to work with them as well.
Great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate all you did this year. And, we're looking for folks, like I said, I'll talk a little bit more about that later. So thank you again. That's our recap for somehow. My computer is being very strange and all these alarms going off. Next, we want to talk about Senior Week coming right up. We've got a big, busy schedule coming up for our seniors and some things for you all to take note of. We have their last day coming up at the end of May. They finish up a little bit earlier than the rest of the students. Their last day is May 29th, where they will leave the building in something called a clap out, and they will exit the building to sort of lots of cheers and everybody will celebrate them leaving the building. And that evening they will have their senior bonfire. We will have a sign up going out for that bonfire for some of the supplies for that. So look out for that. Again, you don't have to be a senior parent to volunteer for any of this, by the way. So just keep an eye out for that if you want to help in any way. June 2nd is their trip to King's Dominion, so they're getting ready for that. June 3rd, they are headed to a Nats game at 1 o'clock, so that's a lot of fun. Seniors and faculty are going to that as well, so that's a lot of fun for them to just spend a little time with teachers as well, so that's fun. June 4th is their prom. They are having that at Top of the Town, and it's a Vegas theme. They're really excited about, very, very excited about their theme. June 8th is graduation rehearsal and a barbecue. And again, there's going to be a sign up for barbecue items. ATAC is covering some of those items, but we also asked for parents to volunteer for some items as well. So again, sign-ups are coming out. And June 9th is their graduation day. So big stuff coming up for the seniors. If you all have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at ATAC, and we'd be happy to answer those questions. And again, the signups will be coming out. Just look out for those on Parent Square, on Facebook. We'll be putting out details. But if you have any questions, just let us know. And last, we do want to, before I think this is the last item before our speaker, wanted to give another little plug for next year for volunteering for ATAC. We have a couple of items, a couple of volunteer positions left, like I was talking about teacher appreciation. We have this Google form. I think we've put it out a couple of times. Maybe Heidi could put it back in the chat again. But you can also just email me directly as well. And on the next slide, I have a couple of the positions that are left and wanted to pay special attention to the top one there. This is our last meeting, and in June, we will have our elections. And some of the roles we have available, we have to have a four-person board as part of the bylaws for ATAC. That's a requirement in order to run our parent committee. Currently for next year, we have vice chair, which is going to be Shayna Hadley. So yay, congratulations. Thank you so much for stepping up. Treasurer, once again, Sam has agreed to step up for us and continue on as treasurer. And new for secretary next year will be Cal Cates. But if you notice, what is missing from that list is the chair. Unfortunately, I can't continue in this role again next year. Unfortunately, I was laid off from my job in February. I haven't found a new opportunity yet. With that uncertainty, I really need to focus on my career search. I don't know how flexible a new job might be next year. I don't want to take on being chair again and then maybe have to, not be able to continue. So that said, I'm not going anywhere. I'd love to find a new chair, but my son will be a senior, so I'm going to be around. I will fully support any new chair that might want to step up, anything they'd need all year long, obviously onboarding them as they take on the role. It's a really rewarding role. It's something, I've really enjoyed doing, and it's really what you make of it. I found that I really have delegated responsibilities to others on the board, to other volunteers as we've gone along, or you can really choose to take on, personal projects. And, if you have really unique ideas and goals for the school, that's okay too. That's what's great about this organization is that it's what you make of it, and there's no right or wrong way to do it. I'll also say that you get to work very closely with Dr. Van Laer, and I cannot say enough wonderful things about working with Dr. Van Laer. So that's a really big bonus if you get to take on the job as chair. So another thing to consider. One thing we haven't done in the past, but is something to consider, is co-chairs. That's why I put the parentheses there, chairs. It would be a really great thing if you wanted to do co-chairs, something that you could do, splitting up the role by splitting up in-person events, leading these meetings every month. You could take turns doing that, and splitting up other different projects that we have going on throughout the year. So if you're on the fence, if you're thinking about taking on this role, maybe you're a little bit new to the school, but you're thinking about it, grab a friend and volunteer. So that's, again, sort of what I just wanted to mention. These are the other roles we have along here. Like I said, teacher appreciation. We are looking as well for the incoming ninth grade class liaison. Obviously, we don't have a parent for that yet. Most of the parents move up with their classes, but we have new incoming ninth graders, so we need a parent for that. We need a parent for the fundraising that we do every year. We need a parent for the ACTL representative, the Advisory Council for Teaching and Learning. They go to those regular meetings with the county. And we need some committee members for our student and teacher grants and for doing the dance decorations, which is always fun, for the regular dances we have all year and as well as prom. So a couple of things that we have to get involved, little ways, big ways. So we hope you'll join us. Again, fill out that Google form or just feel free to email me if you just have other questions about what's involved. So that's my little volunteer spiel. We're going to move on now, I believe, to Dr. Van Laer.
Thank you so much, Jody, and thanks for the kind words. I appreciate everything you've done this year. You've been awesome, and the whole committee's just been great. Everybody's worked together really well and kept it really positive, and it's been inspiring and rejuvenating. So thank you so much. Okay, so a big thank you. I want to add my thank you to teacher appreciation. I will send out a parent square that thanks everybody for last week. And I'm sorry that I haven't gotten that out yet. I want to officially thank all the parents because I know so many people donated, so many people volunteered their time, so many people dropped things off. And so we want to make sure we send out a big thank you. A big thank you to Jenny for leading all that. You've done an amazing job this year, so thank you so much. I also know that our seniors who are graduating with associate's degrees, that graduation ceremony is on Monday. So some of the seniors decide that they want to participate in that, some decide that they don't. Those that have decided that they do, I'm sending out an email tomorrow that kind of gives some details of how everybody can coordinate together. So if you're on this call and your student's going to the Nova graduation on Monday, you'll be getting an email tomorrow about where everyone's going to meet and how we can take pictures for that ceremony. So I want to just do a quick call out to all those students. We did a reception on Monday in order to recognize all the students who are graduating with associate degrees, which is 2 years of college, or the certificate, the USGS certificate, that is 1 year of college. And we have 28 students graduating with associate's degrees, and we have 8 on top of that getting the UCGS. So the numbers are big, and they did a great job this year. So we're excited to celebrate that. We had Cornerstone last Friday. So if you have a ninth grader, your ninth grader was a part of that. This year's project was to design rooftop terraces for the new building. And whether it was studying plants in biology or studying the apocalyptic garden that you would want to grow for health purposes and health and PE, or the angle of the sun in geometry, or victory gardens and how gardens add to community in world history. There are lots of different ways that it connected to our content. And then the top 7 projects were kids presented on Friday to a group of panelists, which included Miss Chung, as well as a landscape architect, an architect from Stantec, some central office leaders, and our own Christina Brody, who's our environmental club lead. And one design was chosen of those 7. And so we're going to try to implement that next year. So Cornerstone was great. Dr. Thomas does a ton to make sure that happens. And so we want to thank her for all of that. Keystone is for the 10th graders, and that's next Friday. It's the wellness fair. It's the best life fair, we call it. And we can talk a little bit about that in the PBL section of tonight. And then I just want to put on everybody's radar that we have some end of the year events coming up. Ninth grade, this is kind of still in process. So possibly they're going to have a field day or a picnic day over at Walter Reed Community Center. That hasn't been planned yet, but they're trying to get it together. 10th grade on June 4th is going to level up. I guess it's level up 99 or level 99, sorry, in Tyson's. And it's $45 per student. Students received field trip forms and information about it earlier this week. Everything's due by next Friday. And then 11th grade is on June 5th going to have a field day or picnic at Alcova Park, much like the juniors did last year. And so ATAC liaisons really help with that a ton, and also help with some of the funding. So thanks, ATAC, for all of that. So that's my quick, actually longer than quick, but sorry about that. But that's my update.
That's great. Thank you. Is there funding help needed for that $45 is kind of a lot. Is there help needed with the 10th graders? Is anybody needing assistance with the
So we put out
price there?
today to see if anybody wants financial help. And so we'll see what the numbers are like. Right now, the 10th grade has within their budget help to what they're contributing to it helps us with the financial aid. If we go above that, we'll come back to ATAC to ask for some help. But I think we can stay within what the 10th grade liaisons have kind of saved for the event.
Great. Okay. Let us know. Great. Speaking of the money, here we go. Sam.
Gotta find the button first.
Uh-oh.
Hey.
I can't see you. Sort of
There we
can.
go.
There you are.
Hey. Hi, everybody. All right. So, looking at this and across, I don't know if you can point, but approved budget, and then next to that is amount spent, and next to that is still to spend. So Basically, we're doing really well. We still have a lot to spend though. All those activities that we reviewed that are still happening here toward the end of the school year next month, um, we definitely are going to spend a lot. Starting at the bottom, senior activities, $4,750 set up. That is where the money's coming from to have some of these activities that they were talking about doing for the seniors to include the trip to Nats Park. The tickets for that is going to come out of there. The different activities, so when we talked a little bit about the volunteers for the volunteer parent to help out with the ninth graders, 10th graders, 11th graders. That's the person who has some budget and some fun money there to help organize some of those activities. So as they're doing, these are the end of year parties. As they get the bills for those activities, they send them in to me, and then I reimburse them for those activities. So going up from there, the club grants, teachers grants, those we already have that money budgeted, the $3,000 and the $1,500, the club grants and teachers grants. And it is budgeted. Those people know that they can spend that money. Some of them have asked for that money up to this point. Some of them have not. So we are working. There's one person that does manage the grants, and she's trying to work with them very closely to have them spend. Above that, you see teacher staff appreciation meals and gifts and teacher appreciation gift cards. That's what we've spent so far. However, the bill isn't in yet for that big spread of food that you saw. So I'm definitely expecting about another $1,000 to drop out of that 2,000 that we have listed there. So I do think that we are in a good spot for some final spending this year, and we'll get through the rest of this. So, but I want to say again, big shout out to all the people that volunteered, but also all the parents that donated money. I mean, this is we raised the very, very bottom, 6,752 was from last year's budget. Everything else is donated from this year. And Spirit Wear is also in there. We were thinking we'd spend about $3,000 in Spirit Wear or sell about $3,000 in Spirit Wear. No, people are liking the outfits that we were selling because $8,500 is what we purchased and $8,600 is what we sold um in Spiritware. So that's a lot, a lot, a lot. Very close in the budget, which we expect. We do not make money. Spiritware purchases, and that is not something we make money on. It's pretty much break even. So that's the summary. Any questions for me?
That's great
Okay.
stuff. Yep. If anybody is on here who had a grant, get your receipts in, but I don't anticipate too many people that are on here that have those. But yes, we need people to be getting their receipts in here at the end of the year. Oh, we have a hand raised.
Great.
Yeah. Go ahead and unmute.
Hi, this is Elisa. I'm a 10th grade parent. I was just wondering, with Teacher Appreciation Week, is that only for Arlington Tech staff or, can that apply to just like any teacher in the building? And in terms of like what Ms. Trung said about other schools being jealous, I hope that wasn't other schools that are in our building. Um, and so are those activities building wide or is it really just Arlington Tech?
Yeah, I just want to speak to that really fast. Thanks for the question and thanks for the thoughtfulness. Yeah, everybody partook in it. And what I really love about it is that ATAC collaborates with other parent groups. So our group of Hispano group was in charge of bringing desserts. On the day that Jenny said ATAC still brought coffee, but they brought all the desserts. Our admin team adds to the lunch as well. And so it feels not only is it collaborative within the building that everyone's partaking in it, but it also feels like it's coming from a lot of different directions as well. So everyone feels like they're a part of it. So I think it's a really inclusive experience. That's what we all think.
Yeah, and let me add it. It really felt like everyone was being appreciated, and it brings us together as a staff, as a community, because they felt everyone felt celebrated and appreciated. And when I meant to say other schools felt jealous, it was outside of ACC. Because they have friends outside of ACC and they heard, yeah, you know how our parents treat us. So,
Okay, great. Thank you.
yep.
The word is spreading, so I love that. That's great. That is great. All right. Well, we'll move along here to a couple of other events. Some of these have already been mentioned. I did see a cool email about this, the pop-up store coming up at ACC. That is for the somebody on admin. Is that the Latina group that's doing the pop-up store?
Yeah,
Yep.
we've had it kind of ongoing. We have donated items that we put out in the side of the commons that faces the cafeteria.
Mhm.
So it's great. Kids just come up and pick up things and it kind of recycles and people bring in stuff. So
Very
it's
cool.
been ongoing all year. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Sarah, it will be focused. Yes, it's it's the Latinos Leading Tomorrow in the Sister Circle.
Got it. Yep, that's what I saw. As we mentioned, Nova graduation coming up, SOL testing, the best life. Yep, the best life fair was mentioned, and seniors last day coming up, a bunch of dates of early release, can't wait, and the true last day of school for everybody coming up at the end of the year there. So just make sure we note all of those dates coming up. We're heading toward the end of the year. And now we are ready to introduce our guest speaker, Dr. Miriam Thomas, who is head of the project-based learning at Arlington Tech. Heidi, do you want to make any kind of introduction here?
I'm not sure I'm the best one. Maybe I'll let Dr. Van Leer introduce Dr.
Yeah,
Thomas.
that'd be great. I'm not really the best either. So,
Oh my gosh, I would take the rest of the meeting to sing her praises. So
yeah.
is geometry teacher extraordinaire at Arlington Career Center, and she stepped into the role of PBL coordinator a few years ago. And she spends her days coordinating with every teacher in the building to try to push forward the PBL vision, make sure that we're all on the same page with PBL. She also works a ton with students to give them extended opportunities to present in front of people, to meet experts, to take on projects they're interested in. She does everything. So with that, I want to introduce Dr. Thomas.
Hi.
Um,
Can you hear me?
mhm.
Okay, great, perfect. Thank you so much for having me. And I have to say thank you to ATAC as well as Dr. Van Leer and Mrs. Chung. I'm one of the individuals who benefits from some of the grants that over the years that you've donated to our classes. And I'm telling you, it's very much helpful in me reaching the goals that I want for my kids. So thank you for that. I want to also talk to you this evening about project-based learning and let you know what the definition is in our program and to see if you have any questions about it later on, if that's okay.
Yeah, let me know advancing the slides here. So
Sure.
there we
Next
go.
slide.
Mhm.
Right. So a lot of the biggest question that I get from stakeholders involved in any projects that we do that's connected to project-based learning is what it is. And the one way I describe it is by comparing it to a traditional project. And if you think about a traditional project in high school, whether it's on a trifold or a report where they have to do research, that grade is graded, put in the grade book, and that's where it lands. When we talk about a project-based learning lesson, it's different in that it actually impacts community as well as how is experienced in the classroom. So the ACC PBL snapshot that you see helps students understand like how that experience is going to look in their classes. And there are two core elements there, the PBL elements on the left side and the essential elements on the right side. Each of our projects have a driving question that students are working with, and they're constantly getting feedback on whatever that project is in the end. And as I said before, whatever that product looks like or whatever that report is going to be, it lands within a client. So it has an impact somewhere. Along the way through that experience, at the same time, students are working in teams. They're not working individually. They're learning how to communicate with each other. And in the end, they present whatever that goal is to that client for implementation. So we like to think that these experiences not only get our students a chance to connect what they've learned in their classroom, but also make that connection. And they can't say anymore, when am I ever going to use this? Well, we know now, right? And guess what? It's going to have an impact somewhere. So that is the difference between a traditional project versus a PBL lesson in our program. And the next slide, if you want to go to that one. There's a lot of information here, but one of the ways that we organize project-based learning in our program also is if a student is an Arlington Tech student, they are going to be exposed to project-based learning in their classrooms. That could be done within the individual class or as a grade level. So this past Friday, as Dr. Van Leer mentioned, the Cornerstone Town Hall took place, which was our grade level PBL. And every ninth grade teacher on the team contributed to that one driving question. And all the classes were able to take something from each of those core content areas to design that blueprint. And the beauty about it is that those students were able to make those direct connections from their classrooms to this blueprint on why it was important to do it and how it's going to make a difference. One of the collaborators, the community partners that we have for this blueprint is Blooming Hill Lavender Farm in Leesburg. And the goal is once that proposal is accepted and the design is actually started, we're able to plant lavender, harvest it, and take that lavender to the farm. And they are more than happy. They want to work with our students. So we're starting that conversation next week with them. So our clubs for PBL scholars and the Environmental Science Club students will be working on that harvest. And so if you look at the Cornerstone, that's for ninth grade. Keystone has the Best Life Fair. The Archstone, they are working on the junior reveal this year. This is the first year we're trying it where they go offsite. And then the capstone students, they are still working in their work-based learning experiences, but they get a chance to reflect on their PBL best practices over the years, especially since they're trying to graduate. So that is a full scope of what our project-based learning program looks like individually in the classroom and then as a grade level. So I'm going to stop talking to see if anyone has any questions.
Feel free to unmute or raise your hand if you have any questions.
And if not, that's okay. But yeah, that's all I do in my role. And as always, ATAC has always been, whether you know it or not, a supporter for my classes specifically. I know I ask every single time that email comes out, I put in an application, and this is where your funding goes to a lot of the projects in our building. So we are very much appreciative on behalf of myself and all the teachers that I know that benefits from that. I appreciate it because we really can't do it without it. So thank you. And if you have any
Thank you,
questions, I'm
Dr.
here.
Thomas. Can I ask a question?
Sure, of course.
Can you talk a little bit about some of the challenges students face as they're sort of like doing the PBLs and the ways that you all sort of support them, and then some of the impacts you think of engaging in the PBL experience?
Yeah, a lot of the challenges have to do with learning how to problem solve, learning how to resolve conflict, all of the things that we do in our everyday lives, in our jobs, right? This is what we're trying to get them prepared for. So all of those things, being able to define what their strengths and weaknesses are and work as a group, especially when they do not get a chance to pick their teams, those are all things that they have to kind of talk about, understand that what it means to work in a team, especially when you don't have those choices or you have constraints, that that does become a challenge. Another one I would think, if I can think of a second one, is the presentation part, especially the ninth graders. It's new to them to present in front of a large group. So sometimes that is something they express being concerned about, but I always try to encourage them in our workshops that you can do anything with confidence. And that's one of the themes I try to push across the board for all of our kids, to understand that we're getting them ready for college and career readiness. And this is part of that process. And so we do our best. Sometimes it works really well, and sometimes it takes more work. But in the end, we still encourage them and support them, and find the best mentors within our building to connect with them to ensure that they're doing what they're supposed to do for that best experience.
I think there's a comment or a question in the chat
Oh,
um,
I can't see the
that
Thank
is
you.
kind of aligned to one of the question or what you just said. So in ninth grade, kids are taught what the PBL approach is and how it works, or are they taught what the PBL approach is and how it works? I have a shy child, so I'm worried about how he will get used to it in groups.
Yes, I think working within the individual classrooms first before experiencing it on a showcase level, they get used to it over the years. And if a student is in over the school year, if a student is in an all into tech class, all of the classes are going to engage in that type and style of learning, working in groups. And it's not all the time that students do get to work with who they want, but there is flexibility across the content areas for that. And I think that flexibility helps students who are shy get more involved. And I've always seen growth over the year for the student who is like, I do not want to talk at all. I do not want to work in a group. I do not want to speak in front of someone. I had someone approach me for the town hall that we just had with the Cornerstone, and they were like, "Listen, if our team is chosen, I do not want to do that." I said, "Well, let's get through this part first." And they went through the exhibitions where they have to still present in front of a group just fine. It was nothing at all. And I tell them, I said, listen, I know it's really hard sometimes, but I'm looking for progress, and I'm looking for you to try. And that's all I can ask for at that time. And by the time, they get through it, they tend to warm up, and you'll be surprised as how they do grow in this process and because of it. So I would say let them try it out and see. And we'll support them along the way for sure.
And I wanted in Dr. Thomas already said this, but I'm just going to reiterate kind of what she was talking about, that because they're doing so much collaborative, and upperclassmen parents, you can tell me whether you think this is true or not, but because they're doing so much collaborative work in all of their classes, it becomes just what they do.
Yeah.
So this heavy pressure that it's this one time and I have to perform goes away.
Mm-hmm.
Our teachers, in terms of collaborative work, our teachers, because they're doing it in all their classrooms in ninth grade, particularly world history and engineering, spends a lot of time in collaborative works, and the teachers will sit with groups and iron out problems and help them mediate. And so all of those processes are being modeled, and also kids are being coached through them all in the ninth grade. And finally, what we're finding, and we hope we can continue with intentional culture building in the new building, is that the kids root each other on. The kids, you see it in Cornerstone, and you see it in the upper classes, that when they are presenting to each other and when they are finishing a project, they're rooting each other on. So it's a collaborative atmosphere, even though sometimes it feels like high pressure to the students.
It is just sort of part of what they do, because I don't hear about it as I had a big project or I had a group assignment or it's just sort of every day in school. It's just school. It's just what they're doing. So, I don't hear about it as, some sort of big deal.
Hey,
And
I have a question about so like by grade level, are all the groups like focused on the same project, or do they get to pick their project?
No, in ninth grade is pretty structured. So, depending on the classroom they're in, they have to work on that project. In 10th grade, they have a lot more flexibility, and the Keystone does a wonderful, wonderful job in allowing students to figure out what their passions are, and they run with it. It's amazing to see. And once they get in the upper level grades, it depends on what classroom they're in and what their teachers are doing in that time as to what they experience. So there is some flexibility in those grades, but the ninth grade year is more structured. 10th grade year, the student teams focus on things that they are truly, truly passionate about. And then it gets more flexible as they get older.
There's a question on the chat actually about a 10th grade student says, my daughter is transferring to Arlington Tech for 10th grade from Yorktown. Any thoughts or recommendations to smooth the transition to PBL?
I would say we start the year off informing all students, bringing them together and giving them an idea about what they're going to enter into and what that space looks like. And again, because the culture of PBL is so ingrained across all of the classes, your student, depending on what classroom they're going to be in, they're going to have some exposure to the PBL practices that we just talked about. So it's a culture that we create. It's not going to be something that I feel like is going to be pressure based, but more so coached through. And we have our teachers are amazing at making sure that we meet our students where they are. And then, of course, I'm always on hand to just be poking my head in the classroom and seeing where I can, step in and help out with different workshops. So I would say just make sure that if you want to help out at home, you can just talk to your student about, hey, what did you do in your class today with project-based learning? And our main questions in building culture right now is what did you do and why did it matter? We try to use that as the language so that our students understand that what they're doing is not just earning a grade. You're having an impact somewhere, and we're hoping that that community that you have impact on, especially in 10th grade, is something that you're passionate about and you can make a difference in. So I try to start with that and make it as personable as I can, especially for our 10th graders.
If I could just add one thing that I always notice as students work in groups is that they have really clear and explicit roles. And so in making presentations, they actually introduce themselves in terms of the roles that they have within their groups. And it's really great to hear from students about how they overcome their challenges as they work together. And they actually make that as part of their presentation. They'll say, "What was our biggest challenge in our project?" And then they'll talk through how they had to problem solve, how they had to listen to each other, how they had to negotiate, and it's just very cool because and as they work in different projects, they take on different roles, so they learn about how to support a group given a different role. And yeah, it's just I love how Dr. Thomas makes the ninth grade skills very explicit. So as ninth graders are learning, they are learning very specific skills. And then to see them transformed in 10th grade and grab a hold of their own passion and present that at the Best Life Fair, it's like night and day. So to see that growth in our student is truly amazing. And I have to thank Dr. Thomas because I think she's just so intentional in the way she preps our teachers and supports them. So thank you, Dr. Thomas.
You're very welcome.
Any other questions? I don't see anything else in the chat. Well, great. Thank you again so much for coming to our meeting tonight to share this with us. Really, really informative, especially for I know I usually have some, at this point in the year, some incoming ninth grade students, parents coming onto the call. So it's always really good for them to hear these kinds of conversations to understand what they're coming to their new school and getting ready for. So we really appreciate you coming tonight. Thank you so much. And we will finish up our meeting here. Close my chat window. Oh, you had one more slide.
This was extra. Don't worry.
Oh, okay. I was like, you didn't tell me to keep going, but that's cool. Looks very cool. I will keep going. Any other questions for us?
Sorry, can you go back to? I just want to say something out loud, especially to the younger group. Go back there, stop.
There, there,
There.
there.
Anybody who has ever worked, um, yeah, this in any office space, any IT project, any large corporation that has a team that you've got to work through. This is project management written in a way that teenagers can understand it. Like as a eight, my oldest was an eighth grader at the time. She's 20 now. And I walked in and somebody handed me this when she was in eighth grade. And I'm like, oh, this is definitely the school my kid needs to go to. I have two children. One has graduated. This is the one, Dr. Bandler. This is the paper. And I looked at this paper. I was like, what? It's project management. That's what kids need to learn to be able to work with other people. So I just want to reiterate from a parent's perspective, yes, I'm the treasurer, but from a parent's perspective, thank you for what you're teaching our kids because this is what, no kidding, that's what they teach in project management.
Project manager there at the very bottom of the red part. Yeah, it says project.
This is. If you've ever worked in any industry and
Project deliverable. I see. Yep, I see all those buzzwords that we all use in business. I see
fantastic. Ooh, that's what they need to learn.
it.
I would say my graduate alum is working with some students in his grade and was in a group and they were all kind of like, well, I don't know. And he was like, okay, this is how we're going to set it up. You're going to do this. I mean, he just like took over and was like, oh, you guys don't know how to do this? I know how to do this. You're going to do this. You're going to do this. How can you do this? And so that was, and he was just, telling me like, like it was nothing, like, oh, this is how we do it in school. And so I just, we organized everything and now everybody's doing their stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dr. Thomas is beaming. I love it. All right. Well, here is the last meeting. As I mentioned, our elections. It'll be brief. We just have to hop on, do a quick vote, maybe have any kind of last announcements. It will be Thursday night, June 11th at 8 p.m. to close out the school year. So we hope you all can join us. And with that, we will say good night. Thank you all so much for joining us.
Thank you, everybody.
Evening.
Please fill out the Google form and volunteer next year.